Alright guys, I went and bought the most expensive yarn in the world. Was it worth it? Let's find out. As a crochet content creator, I know the importance of quality yarn when it comes to beautiful and long-lasting projects. So I had to find out what the most expensive yarn is that I could possibly find. But to make things interesting, I needed to compare that yarn with other yarns. So I also bought the least expensive yarn I could find from the dollar store, a mid-price yarn from Michael's that I would typically use in a project, and an expensive yarn from a specialty yarn shop to compare this most expensive yarn with other yarns of varying price points to find out if the price tag of a yarn does determine its quality. I'm going to be working with all four yarns to determine which works up better when it comes to ease of working with it and the finished project. Was that super expensive yarn worth that price tag? Was the cheapest yarn able to produce a really nice finished product? This video will provide an overview of various types of yarn, and together we will decide if the price tag of a yarn is determined by its value. So join me in this exciting yarn journey, and don't forget to like this video, share this video with your fellow crocheter, and subscribe for more exciting content. Starting at $1.25, the Dollar Tree definitely has the cheapest yarn available for any project type. I was actually quite impressed by the assortment of different types of yarn the Dollar Tree had to offer. The yarn that I selected was Premier Just Yarn Tweed. It's a size 4 weight yarn, 100% acrylic. Each skein has approximately 98 yards, 90 meters, 1.58 ounces of yarn, or 45 grams of yarn per skein. The color I selected is called Greige Tweed, which is a combination of gray and beige together, which I thought was a color that would complement a lot of skin tones and be one that a lot of people really like to wear. Doing the crunch test with my fingers, I thought the yarn was definitely of wearable quality. It was comfortable enough. The yarn worked up pretty quickly. I had no trouble undoing any of the stitches or frogging the work that I had just done. I was able to make, with 2 skeins of yarn, a small adult beanie with enough yarn left over to make a pom-pom to place on top, and still have a little yarn left over to make a larger size beanie if I wanted to, with just 2 skeins. That's a $3 beanie right there. It's not the softest yarn I've ever worked with. It actually feels kind of cheap. If you wanted to make a gift for somebody, I wouldn't use this yarn. However, making a full-size adult beanie for under $3 that looks nice and keeps your head warm is definitely a win. Next on the list, coming in at $11.99 per skein, the soft, plushy Scarfie yarn from Lion Brand. Michael's is one of my go-to yarn stores for any of my crochet project needs, keeping in mind that I wanted to find a yarn that I could make a wearable out of and feel like I was splurging a bit. This would definitely be the price point that I would be considering. Typical yarn prices in this category of yarn shopping range from $2.50 a skein to $12 a skein. It's the size of the skein of yarn that will get you sometimes. Other yarn shop locations that I would put in this category would be Joann's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart. Online yarn shopping comparable here would be PremierYarns.com, Hirschners.com, We Crochet, Hobie, Love Crafts, Lion Brand, to name a few. Lion Brand Scarfie yarn is a size 5 weight yarn, 78% acrylic, 22% wool, 312 yards, 285 meters, 5.3 ounces, or 150 grams of yarn per skein. The color that I selected is called Mint Silver. It is so pretty. I really enjoyed working with Scarfie yarn. It's very soft, and you do feel like you're working with something special when you're crocheting with it. That would probably be the wool fiber aspect. Undoing stitches you just made did not seem to be a problem. However, if you are having to backtrack quite a ways, this yarn is not the most frog friendly. Meaning the yarn fibers, they want to cling to each other, and undoing stitches further established in the work will require some patience. The project that I made with this yarn was a shawl. I know, Tiffany, it's called Scarfie yarn. Why didn't you just make a scarf? When I saw this yarn, I wanted to wrap myself up in it, and a shawl project instantly came to mind, so I went with that, and I'm so glad that I did. This yarn is comfy cozy, and I would definitely use it again. So, what can $50 per skein of yarn get you? Usually when we want to get a special yarn, we will go to a specialty yarn shop. This is where we will find hand-dyed yarns, colors, fibers, sizes of yarn that are more one of a kind, created from local dyers to dyers from all over the world, fibers from practically any animal that you could get wool from. It's pretty special. However, the price tag will reflect that. The yarn that I selected is called Concept by Katia, Polynesian Gradient. Let me know if I said that right, Michaela. It's a size 1 weight lace, 56% cotton, 22% linen, 22% viscose. There is approximately 721 yards, 660 meters, 7 ounces or 200 grams of yarn per cake here. The yarn caught my eye immediately. The colors sucked me in, and I love it when yarn captivates me like this because I know that I'm going to enjoy the entire crochet process just by getting to work with it. The reason for this high price point is because this yarn is made in Italy. It's a designer yarn with an exclusive color palette and, of course, right, the one-of-a-kind factor. I purchased this yarn from a local specialty yarn shop called On the Lamb. I got the opportunity to talk with one of the owners of the shop, and I asked her what she thought that I could make with this skein of yarn, and she suggested a scarf or a shawl, even a woman's top, like a tank top. And I was like, really? With just one skein of yarn? And she's like, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a top with this and make a summer top with all of these gorgeous colors to show off. Working with this yarn was actually very different. It's nothing like you're used to working with. It's so thin that you, one, had to work with that concept. If you're not used to working with really thin yarn, it definitely takes some getting used to. The texture of the yarn itself was also very different and very interesting. It's just something you have to experience. I can't even compare it to anything else. Frogging this yarn was fine. I didn't have any issues undoing any of the stitches. Was it worth this price point? I would say yes. I was able to get so much bang for my buck with this yarn, and it was beautiful. And knowing that it was a specialty yarn, hand dyed from Italy, I think it was definitely worth the price point. Phew, it's been a lot of work creating 4 different patterns for this yarn comparison video. Help me out. Keep me designing by buying me a cup of coffee. Anyone who donates to my caffeine support, I will put your name on my thank you list for my next video. To buy me a cup of coffee, just click on the link in the description section below. And thank you so much for your support. Are you ready for this? The most expensive yarn that I could find on the entire internet cost $300 per skein of yarn. I found it on windyvalleymuskox.net website. The yarn is 100% Vicuna wool. It's a size 1 weight lace, very thin. Each cake contains 217 yards, 1 ounce, or 28 grams of yarn. The color that I picked out was called burgundy because I thought if I'm going to buy this yarn, I'm going to get a color that will look really beautiful on me or whoever I gift it to. Why does it cost so much? The Vicuna is a wild relative to the alpaca. They are found exclusively in South America and reside in the alpine region of the Andes Mountains. This animal is very special to the native people here and is kept wild. In order to obtain this yarn, the Vicuna needs to be caught, given a quick haircut, and then released back into the wild. Crazy, right? Vicuna grow their hair slowly too. They only receive a haircut once every 3 years. Supply and demand. Vicuna wool is considered to be some of the finest wool produced by any animal. So rare that the Incan people considered it illegal for anyone to wear a garment made with Vicuna yarn except for royalty. Now I'm feeling kind of special. The project that I decided to make with this yarn is a headband. I wanted to play it safe because there was no buying more yarn if I ran out. My experience working with this yarn was that it was pretty normal. It didn't feel crazy different to me when I was working with it. Felt very similar to working with an alpaca. I mean, they're in the same family, and it just worked up very smoothly. I didn't have any issues with fiber clinging. I had no problem with frogging the stitches back, which was great. And it just worked up very smoothly. It is a size 1 weight yarn, so it was very small, and I found myself working slower with it to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. But other than that, I had no issues working with it at all. Would I ever buy it again? Probably not. because you're getting just a small amount for the amount of money you're paying for it. And I get that the animal is special, and I get how hard it is to obtain the wool from the animal, go through this entire process, the supply and demand, 3-year haircut, you know? So I understand why it's worth the amount. Totally get it. It's special to the native Incan people. Like, I get it, right? But for me personally, and what I'm going to make and how I'm going to use it, I feel that I could purchase the same economical yarn and get the same feel and appreciation for the project that I'm making as I would with this $300 skein of yarn. When choosing a high-end yarn like this, you want to have a project in mind before you even make that yarn purchase. You want to know exactly what you're making so you know approximately how much yarn you're going to need to buy to be able to complete that item. And this will also be able to tell you how much money you're going to be spending before you make that purchase. Is that shawl, that beanie, that scarf worth to you the amount of money that you're about to spend? This was such a fun experiment that gave me a fresh new perspective on the world of yarn. What are your thoughts? Did you think the yarn was worth the price? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, what did you think of the 4 projects that I created so that way I could accurately compare all of these yarns together? If there was a project that I made in this video that you want to make, never fear, I have the tutorials coming. Over the next 4 weeks, I will be releasing all 4 of those project tutorials on my YouTube channel. So they're coming. If there was one you wanted to make, keep checking back with me. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like this video, share it with a friend, and of course, subscribe for more content coming up soon. I hope you have the best day, guys, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.